Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Winifred Summer, and welcome to another YouTube video. So, I've already given you part one and part two of a three-part series about being a book vendor. So, I talked about the things that you can bring with you. I also shared with you some footage from the experience. And then the third and final part is supposed to be about the aftermath. Well, I feel like I need to fill in a couple more spaces and give you a little more detail before we get to the aftermath. Because to be honest, it's still kind of going on. And I want to make sure I give you guys an accurate explanation and accurate details about what you can do and what you can expect from the aftermath. So, since it's a little too early for me to get into all of that today, I decided that I want to kind of go back a little bit. I mentioned the things that you could bring to prepare for your actual vendor space, what to have on the table, things to carry along with you for your customers and potential future clients, if that's your thing. But I didn't talk about things for you to bring for yourself. I understand you are all about sales and you're trying to attract people, get them to stop, get their attention. However, you got to take care of yourself. So this is what I call part 2.5 because we're not quite at point three. And we're going to talk about things for you to bring for yourself for your vendor event. So starting at number one, water. Water. When you have a booth and you're surrounded with other vendors, you want to limit the amount of time that you are away from your station. You limit your time away because every time that you get up and you're not visible, you are missing an opportunity to make a sale. You are missing an opportunity to make a connection. And so, me personally, I hardly ever got up from my booth. And if I did, it was because I was walking around trying to connect with people. I went to the restroom maybe once within the whole stretch of 4, 5, 6 hours, however many hours it was. I went to the restroom once. And I didn't even stop for a lunch break. I was able to eat a little bit at my booth. And so, starting with number one is water. So you don't get dehydrated. You're going to be doing a lot of talking, a lot of, standing up. So you want to make sure that you quench your thirst because you are going to get thirsty. So we start with water. Number two, I already kind of hinted towards, and that's having some kind of snack, some kind of finger food. If I'm going to be honest, I made a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich on whole wheat bread, and I cut it, in half. And I wrapped it in foil and I kept that with me along with my water bottle. I also had a protein bar and a banana, I believe. And that is all I had. And so I picked things that were easy for me to kind of just pop in between, people walking around. There might be some spots during your vendor experience where there aren't too many people coming to your booth. And I would take those opportunities to, okay, let me take a bite of this power bar. Let me take a bite of this sandwich. Let me, take a little bit of this banana because you need to make sure that you're not standing there starving and you're not standing there thirsty because that's going to impact your mood. Like if you're standing there looking like like who's going to want to come over there? You want to be bright, you want to be energetic, and so I'm going to need you to be nourished. So those are definitely my top two. Number three, you should have mints or gum of some sort. Now, I understand you might believe your breath is super fresh. You brush your teeth that morning and you're not sitting there eating freaking onions and garlic. So, I mean, your breath should be relatively fresh, but you just never know. You never know. You want to make sure you're up in people's faces, that your breath smells good. It's not enough just for the breath not to have like an odor or some kind of stench. You want it to smell good. And last thing you want is to kind of lean into somebody and they're just like, whoo. Or maybe if your breath is super hot, sometimes it's not even about how your breath smells. Sometimes you just have that hot breath, and to be all up in somebody's face, it's just a no, and it could cost you the sale or the opportunity to connect. So definitely have some mints or some gum with you. Next tissues. And if you see me looking down, I have some notes. I'm not even going to fake with y'all. I'm new to the YouTube space. So next is going to be tissues and paper towels. You never know what the temperature is going to be like in there. It could be hot. You might catch yourself sweating. Maybe you'll get something in your eye. You know how you can kind of feel like your eye might get watery. Maybe if there's a fan or something, or the AC is high and it's getting into your eyes. Sometimes you can kind of feel a little eye booger forming in the corner of your eye. You just never know. Runny nose out of nowhere. You need to blow your nose. You don't want to have to go run to the restroom or again step away from your space for something so simple. So bring some tissues. You can have a little travel pack because you might not want to have like a whole big tissue box. You can have some travel packs, some paper towels. You can fold your own right from your kitchen, put them in a plastic bag and seal them and bring them along with you. Also, if you're snacking at your desk, you can wipe away any crumbs so that your display table doesn't look dirty. You shouldn't be eating on top of your display anyway, but even if you're kind of sitting back and eating, you might drop a crumb here or there. You want to be able to just, make sure you get all that off of you. So that is my next one. All right, moving right along. Hand sanitizer. You know how many hands you're going to be shaking? All right, do you know how many times you're going to be just touching this, touching that? Even your own props, even your own copies of your books, other people are probably going to be touching things that you have placed. Like, you want to make sure that you're able to keep your hands clean, keep yourself safe from any potential germs that are going around being spread. Continue to get those hands right, because you don't want to pass anything along, and you definitely don't want to take anything home with you that you didn't come in there with. All right, so moving on, clothing. Let's talk about comfortable shoes. I don't know about you guys, but I was on my feet. All right, 97% of the time I was standing up. And when I tell you my feet were hurting, I was wearing some flats. I had on some slacks. And so I did need to wear a dressy shoe. I couldn't get away with wearing a sneaker with those type of pants. I just felt like it would be tacky. So I had like a nice dressy flat shoe, but it did have some like cushion on it to help my foot. It wasn't like, a flat, hard kind of shoe. It was definitely like memory foam shoe. And even still, my feet were hurting at the end of the day. So I suggest that you wear some shoes that you'll be comfortable in. Now, I know you have some people that maybe their brand is Glamour and they feel like they need to be in the highest heel or whatever the case is. Wear a heel that maybe is like a wedge or maybe a really thick heel, something that is still going to be at some level of comfort. I saw some people who carried shoes with them to change into once they set up their booth. So maybe they walked in sneakers, then they would put them under the table and put their heels on, and they would change in and out of them throughout. If it got slow, they would go ahead, pop those heels off, relax in their flip-flops or whatever, and just change back and forth. I didn't want to have to do all that. So it's up to you, but just make sure you have some comfortable shoes. Even if you're decked out in some high heels or whatever, when it's time to close down shop, you might want to have some comfortable shoes with you so that your exit and your way up to the parking lot, at least you can find some comfort then. All right, so we are talking about clothing still. I mentioned that I had on some slacks. Now, these slacks were pretty loose fit. They were still they were form fitting, but still loose at the same time. I wouldn't recommend wearing anything that's really tight. You're going to be walking around, you're going to be standing up. You can tell if you're wearing something that you're not comfortable in, it's going to come off. That energy is going to come off and it might push people away from you. So definitely wear whatever you're comfortable in. I chose to wear pants, and I say if you're going to wear pants, make sure they're comfortable. Make sure it's not something where if you're eating or drinking throughout the day, like it's going to feel tight, like you're about to pop out of your pants or anything like that. Maybe something with some elastic, some stretch, it depends, but just be comfortable, whatever comfort means to you. I understand you want to look nice, you want to be presentable, depending on what your brand or industry is in, but you want to still make sure that you can get around comfortably, because There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of, bending down, squatting, picking stuff up. You might have to be on a little step stool, a little ladder. You just never know. You might be assembling pieces and you don't want to risk, ruining your clothes or just not being at a point where you can comfortably move around. All right, next. So basically stuff with breathing room. Next, temperature, you can never really predict. So I had a cardigan sweater on top of a white shirt. If it got too hot, I could take the cardigan off. If it's chilly, I had the cardigan on. It was thick enough to where it would keep me warm, but it wasn't so bad to the point where I broke out into a sweat. The room I was in was kind of mid-temperature. It wasn't chilly and it wasn't hot. So I was perfectly comfortable in what I was wearing, but I saw other people that may not have been comfortable because they didn't dress with that thought in mind, that you should be able to shift in and out of whatever additional clothes or have lesser clothes according to your comfort level. So I suggest wearing something to where you could separate pieces if you're too hot or put on another layer if it's getting cold. Okay, we're coming down the line. All right, so next, and depending on how much you're bringing, you may not need this, but for me, I had a backpack, right? I did carry a box with all my books in it, but that was the only thing I was actually carrying. Everything else was in my backpack, and then I had like a little kind of carry-on regular paper bag. But backpack is great because if you have a lot of items, you don't have to put additional strain on your arms. You can have it on your back and there you have it. It just makes it a lot easier. So this could be your clipboard, your pens, maybe some props depending on their size. I had my candy dish in there, candy stuff. Like I was able to fit a lot of things in a backpack. And I was able to put my phone in there because I didn't want to walk around with like my purse. I was able to put my additional snacks in there. So yeah, have a backpack. It's a nice way to keep things concealed and out of view. I kept my backpack under the table, not on the floor, but there was like a little shelf under the table where I could easily sit my backpack, which had like my personal belongings and things like that. As far as safety and security, you just never know. So I wouldn't suggest maybe having your purse out somewhere visible, having your purse strap hanging on the back of a chair. Like you just have to be cautious. And so a backpack for me worked wonders. So I hope this was helpful because I know when I was preparing at first, it was all about sales, attention, what am I going to say if somebody comes to my table? Have the pitch ready, have this, have that. But also you have to prepare yourself, things that are going to keep you going throughout the day. You are going to get hungry. You're going to get tired. You're going to need some things to keep the pep going. And I really hope this list gives you additional things to think about that maybe you didn't consider. So thank you again for coming and watching this video. My name is Winifred Summer. I'm an HR professional, and I also call myself the HR darling because I'm the darling HR person that you can come to. I wrote a book. It's called The Toxic Job Playbook, and that was the book I was selling at this amazing vendor event. It was my first time, and I was able to walk out of there with some money. I honestly didn't think I would be able to sell as much as I did. So I'm just coming out, letting you know what worked for me as a whole for the total experience. Thank you for checking out my channel. I got one more video on this topic to come, and that is going to be the aftermath of what's happened. So far, some things, are brewing, but I need a little more time to really tie up some loose ends so I can give you a full view of what has happened after, because a lot of things are beginning, but yeah, I'm still working on them. So that's it, guys. Thank you for stopping by. If you want to, you can check out my website, winifredsummer.com, to learn a little bit about more a little bit more about me and my services, who I am, my background. I thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be loading more and more content, not specifically on this topic, but I am an author, I'm an HR person. I have a lot of layers, and so I have a lot of information to share. Thanks, guys, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Take care.